Here's a copy of the first Common Core Algebra Regents for New York State from June of 14. Take a look at problem 1. Which property justifies this step? And if you look at it carefully, actually what they did is they added 9 to each side. I first looked at it, thought it would be distributive, but if you check it out, they got 16 on the other side. So that's a little tricky, because as soon as I see those parentheses, I totally want to do distributive. If you look at number 2, they're talking about the domain for number of vehicles. So you have to know number of vehicles is positive or 0. And usually you can't have half a vehicle. So these are discrete numbers, so that answer would be number 4 to figure out how many cars go through or vehicles go through in a certain time period. For number 3, this is a classic polynomial subtraction, but you're going to have to distribute the minus sign. So in regular algebra, they used to give this problem without the a and b, so there's another step or two to do substitution. For number 4, we can actually, so it's a set of inequalities. We need to solve for y equals on the top one. We can put that into the graphing calculator, and we can see that one of them has y is less than the slope of 3, so that's going to be the one underneath. So it's going to have to be one of these where it's shaded underneath, or this one underneath, and then the second line really becomes 2 minus x, and that one is going to have a dotted line, which you can't even see here. This one's going to be the dotted line. So that one should have that solution of this gridded area in here. And then which value of x? This is a really hard problem. Look at these numbers. 7/3 x, so that's not so crazy, but then you have to do cross canceling. Actually, you get 3/4 when you do 7/3 times 9/28, but then it works out to a weird number. I don't remember what it is. It's one of these 8 numbers. That's a weird question. That's a difficult question because students think it's supposed to come out to something perfect. That's just a level of challenge that's pretty high. If we look at the next one asks what kind of function best models, and you can see that it's definitely not linear. For example, going from year 0 to year 10, it goes up like even less than a couple $100. But as you keep going, by the time you get between year 40 and 50, it's up like $900. So it has to be an exponential. It cannot be linear, because linear is defined as every time x, or in this case a year, changes by 1, that y would change by the same amount. That one most students should be able to do. If we look at number 7, it is a y equals, but it's written with r and c instead of x and y. And they're showing 5.25r, which is really the slope. And so that would be the cost would be 5.25r plus 125. So the 5.25 would be the amount spent to manufacture each radio. And then this, number 8, will be the last one we do in this first video of the multiple choice of the Common Core Algebra Regents. This is actually a fairly hard question for students that haven't done completing the square. What they would need to do would be to add 12 to each side, and then they would need to complete the square. They could spend time, since they have 3 hours, figuring out what the answer, plural, would be for this. This is a fairly hard question as well. Those are the first 8 questions of the Common Core June 2014 Regents here in New York State. We don't have a lot of other states doing this, so perhaps New York is setting the standard. These look somewhat like the practice questions that were put out, but a lot of students found them doable. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.